Welcome to Math Plus, where math makes sense. We're going to learn to borrow to subtract mixed numbers. You all learned in lower grades that if you are subtracting a larger number from a smaller number, you have to borrow. Well, the same is true in subtracting fractions. So here's our problem, 3 2/5 minus 1 3/5. I already have like denominators, so I can go ahead and rewrite this up and down, which is what I prefer, and try to subtract it. So 3 2/5 minus 1 3/5. So when I go to subtract, remember I keep the denominator the same and I subtract the numerators. I cannot subtract 2 minus 3. So I have to borrow. So how do you borrow when you're working with fractions? Here's our problem. And I want to show you what the fraction 2/5 looks like. It's 2 of 5 equal parts. That's demonstrated here as 2/5. 2 of the 5 equal parts. Here's 2 of 5 equal parts where it's divided up into rectangles. Here is a group of 5 apples. 2 of them are green. So you can see the little note says green apples make up 2/5 of the total number of apples. So when you look at what 2/5 looks like, if you look at the total, there's 5. If you look the total of these, there's 5, and the total, there's 5 pieces. So remember, the denominator tells you how many equal parts are in a whole. So I can say that 1 whole equals 5/5. If I would shade all of this, it would be 5/5. If I would shade all of this, it would be 5/5. Or if I chose all of the apples, the whole group would be 5 out of 5 apples, or 5/5. Now we can take that knowledge and use that to be able to borrow. And let me show you what I mean. If I borrow 1 from the 3, it leaves me with 2. So now I have 1 whole, which we just said equals 5/5. Well, I already have 2/5. So if I add this 5/5 to it, now I'm going to have 7/5. So let me write this up and down. I think you can see it better that way. So when I figure out that I have to borrow, it's helpful sometimes to use a different color. I'm going to borrow a 1 whole, and I know that that 1 whole equals 5/5. But if I add it to the 2/5, now I have a total of 7/5. So it might be helpful to just rewrite the problem and say, okay, so when I borrow, I end up with 2 7/5. And then I bring my 1 3/5 over, and now I can subtract my fraction. Denominator stays the same. 7 minus 3 is 4, and 2 minus 1 is 1. So that's my final answer. So it's no different than subtracting whole numbers. When you do not have enough, you have to borrow. 9 1/8 minus 5/6. Okay, I'm going to go right ahead and rewrite this up and down. 9 1/8 minus 5/6. Okay, first I'm going to look at my fractions. I notice they're not the same denominator. So here are my multiples of 6 and 8. So I can find, first I have to find a common denominator. So let's see. Oh, the first one I come to is 24. Okay, 24. Remember, we want the lowest one. So now I have to rewrite the fraction 1/8 and the fraction 5/6 with a denominator of 24. I'm going to rewrite 1/8 and multiply it by a fraction that will give me an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 24. And I'm going to rewrite 5/6, multiply it by a fraction that will give me an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 24. Look at the 1/8. 8 times 3 is 24. So 1 times 3 is, I got to multiply the numerator by 3. 1 times 3 is 3. So I now know that I can rewrite this as 9 and 3/24. Now let's look at 5/6. 6 times 4 is 24. So I'm going to multiply the numerator by 4. 5 times 4 is 20. So I can rewrite 5/6 as 20 over 24. Now I can subtract. But I have 3 over 24 minus 20 over 24. So what I'm going to do is go next door like you do and borrow 1. And that will give me how many 24ths? Remember, the denominator tells me the total in a whole, which would be 24 over 24. So if I rewrite this fraction, it's going to be 8. My denominator is 24. I've got 3 here and 24 here. That gives me a total of 27. Okay? Because 1 whole, remember, 1 whole equals 24 over 24. And now I can just rewrite my 20 over 24. And now I can subtract. 27 minus 20 is 7. My denominator is 24. 8 minus 0 is 8. So my answer is 8 and 7/24. So you can see no matter how large the numbers are, the steps are the same. You borrow a whole and it gives you the denominator rewritten with the top and bottom number as the same.